There we go.
There we go.
Okay, recording has started, so it is 5:30. I'll call the meeting of the Select Board for the town of Shelburne of October 7th to order. Begin with acceptance of the minutes. I saw the changes that you had sent in and one line of clarification, Tricia, that were made, and then it was resent around, and I'm good with those. I think you said you were at this point. Andrew, have you any comments on the minutes?
I'm fine with them. I
Okay.
move to accept.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded to change the minutes as to approve the minutes as adjusted. I'll put the matter to a vote. Andrew,
Aye.
Tricia,
Aye.
I as well. It passes unanimously. Department liaison reports. I think we started with Andrew last time. Tricia.
Okay. Regarding the town hall, I spoke with Angel, who had received some payments or requests for payment plans after sending out the friendly reminder letters. So that was good news. The tax bills will be going out soon if they haven't gone out today. And we put a notice and an article in the Two-Town News to remind everyone that the due date for taxes is November 1st and that there are payment plans available. So in the next issue of the Two-Town News, I'll put in something about tax abatements for seniors and veterans that I just got today from Karen, our assessor. And I know, Andrew, you had wanted me to follow up on that. When I asked Angel about, kind of what we had available for people, she said to make sure that, she said all she really has are payment plans available. So people should know that. We could go into a lot of detail about like how much interest there is, but let's just see if we're successful this way with just the basic information, I think. So with the town clerk, things are moving along well for the upcoming election. The early voting and election day staffing is completed. There's going to be some more training coming up for workers due to the need for increased security and awareness about activities that have happened at other polling places in the Commonwealth. Just as an FYI, so we're all aware, there was an article in the Boston Globe over the weekend that showed that a lot of town clerks in Massachusetts have resigned under the pressure and stress caused by the current environment and all the additional responsibilities that are coming up because of what they're responsible for with regarding keeping the election secure. So I just want us all to be aware of this because we don't want to lose Joe. He knows so much about how to run these elections. And it really is a huge task. And regardless of the size of the town, you still have to do all the same things to keep your election secure. So I just want us to kind of be aware of that. And I'll be talking with him to see if there's things that we can do to help make his role a little bit easier. Emergency management, as you know, Tom is still out on vacation, and in response to what we had talked about at the last select board meeting, I was able to get some checklists from our MEMA coordinator for individuals who will take part in the tabletop exercise on the 24th. So if in the unfortunate event that someone can't take that ICS 100 training, we'll have, at the bare minimum, they'll have kind of a checklist to follow. And so that might help with how that tabletop exercise goes. So it won't be, it'll be smoother than if no one had anything and didn't do the training.
No question.
So regarding MVP, I spoke with FERCog and Weston and Sampson over the past 2 weeks about whether they can help with this year's project that we had agreed upon at the last select board meeting. I got commitment from both of them late on Friday. FERCog's Allison Gage is going to develop some maps for us to help identify more clearly the high priority areas to home in really on the scope of this project, because we're not going to be able to do an entire resilience plan, resilient drainage plan for the entire town. So we're going to have to kind of focus it in. And Jeff Johnston at the Highway Department is also going to help home in on that area or areas of concern. He's going to speak with Steve, who's, I think, the longest lasting Highway Department employee that we have, and to get ideas for those areas. And Jeff has agreed to go out and look at those and give an assessment and provide that to me. And we're going to meet with the folks at FERCog and kind of overlay that with the map that they come up with. And then all of us with FERCog, Weston and Sampson, Jeff and myself will meet on the 16th of October ahead of the next select board meeting, so that on the 21st, we all can give the go ahead or no for the expression of interest for the plan. I also took the survey regarding a new climate one-stop shared application that's supposed to be similar to the community one-stop for growth platform. And I registered for the focus group on this new software application that they're looking to develop. And that's on Wednesday morning. That's all I got.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Andrew?
A couple of things. The Pratt Library Group did meet on September 26th. Our major agenda item is addressing the elevator needs for replacement. And so we began sort of sketching out a budget for how to proceed. The town has approved $55,000 toward that in the last town meeting. The chair of the Arms Committee, Dan Alden, has applied to the Mass Office of Disability, though not for a large amount. I think for about $10,000. They don't have a big pot. I think they only have about $250,000 for the whole state. So we'll see if that goes anywhere. And they have also gotten a preliminary approval for a CPA application, which they will also be putting together for that project. And then we discussed some other little pots of money that the Arms Board may be able to throw into that pot. So I think we have the outlines of a budget if those pieces can come together, and we hope the elevator will hold up in the meantime. That's give us some more time to put it all together. But the approach also is to replace the current setup with a lift, which is a simpler and cheaper option. And given the fairly small amount of usage that is needed for that, they thought that was a good option to go towards. And a lift does not really require a major amount of staffing to put together. You don't need an architect. You just need kind of the technicians who know how to install that particular piece of equipment. So we'll be continuing to get more detail on that and hopefully move ahead on the funding pieces as well. On the highway side of things, we met on the same day, the 26th, out in the rain for a site meeting at Old Greenfield Road, and got I think it was about 7 residents showed up and had a good informative discussion about the timeline and nature of the project, and they got to ask a lot of good questions and give some good input too. We'll talk about the knotweed part of it when we get down to that old business piece, so I won't go into that now. Warner has started the project and is installing culverts. The highway crew is bringing over materials and culverts as they need them so that they don't clutter up the road. They should have the culverts in by the end of the week and start grinding the road after that. They will have to notify I think Jeff will have to notify the school about when they get the culvert in at Zerafisk Road, because there'll be a big hole in the ground, but they can cover that and get the school bus by. They're aiming to complete the project by the end of October. And if there is money left in the budget, we'll be able to add in about 500 feet of guardrails along the steep bank. And if not, we'll have to take that money out of the fair share funds or whatever. They did go a little bit high on cost because there was a lot of drilling of the ledge to get the culverts in and stuff. On other projects, the pole barn is complete, the garage doors are in, and the solar is waiting to happen on PV squared schedule. I think they're still aiming for the 21st, as far as I know. The paving, blacktop paving is complete on Cooper Lane and the other roads. That's Chapter 90 money. And Jeff has ordered culverts for the Patton Road project out of fair share funding that will come. And we still need to confirm with the Concom before we start that culvert project. Let me see if there's any other. Oh, I guess Terry Walker is going to be coming in to complete the reporting on the Old Greenfield Road project for the quarterly reporting and do the reimbursements. Jeff has submitted plans for the temporary bridge at 80 Bardwell Ferry Road, or Gill Engineering has put them into DOT. So as soon as those approvals come back from them, he's going to be talking with Chris and Clayton Davenport, who actually store their equipment right there at that corner. So they have some good big heavy equipment that hopefully can help us move that temporary bridge into place when we get approval. And otherwise, you know, the crew is tuning up their equipment for brush work and getting ready for snow plowing. Jeff thinks we're going to get a frost this week to start the season. They're doing vehicle inspections, and he's looking ahead at sort of researching and installing these beaver deceiver pipes to try to keep the beaver dams in check. And we have several of them around town. So he's got his eye on that and is sort of looking down the road. They're not all that expensive, but it's another project to keep our our flood control efforts in play. But that's all I've got.
Terrific. Thank you for that. We've got a couple minutes here. I'll start my police liaison report. The group met 12 days ago and finally formally organized. Bob Dean, who is the Buckland Finance Committee rep on the Police Services Advisory Committee, was accepted the position of chair. Myself, I accepted the position of vice chair, and Tony Jewell, I'll say in jest, but begrudgingly accepted the position of clerk. He would like to hopefully find a volunteer to come forward that might be able to help in that vein. Buckland is short one at-large person, so possibly the person who fills that spot may be willing to take over those duties. But for now, we're all set, organized. We received a report from the chief that the fiscal year 26 capital expense request will include the 2014 cruiser replacement. That's on the normal 10-year plan schedule, as I understand. And also the replacement of 6 of their Kelvar vests next year. They're $2,000 a piece. So about 12 grand there. And what I didn't realize is they have an actual expiration date. After years of use and making sure they're up to snuff, should they ever be needed, God forbid. But that is funded with a 50% grant. And they're working with a memorandum of understanding with the Mohawk superintendent regarding an official setup for a resource officer there. Detective Jenkins is certified and has been sort of filling that role, but they're trying to figure out how to fund it to make it a more effective organization. I'll put off my regional planning board report. It is 5:45. We have the appointment with Whit Sanford and Cynthia Fisher. Cynthia's on. And Whit is not, perhaps?
Whit
Whit-
is not.
She did, at 10 after 5, she contacted me asking me if I was going to be here. So she intended to be here, but I don't know what's going on.
Okay, well, fill us in. We have the sheet that was sent to us in advance last week with the renewal of the Route 2 Shelburne Falls signs.
Mhm.
And
So,
then,
my area of expertise is I am the mosaic artist. So that's really the only part of the whole, all of the information that was provided to you that I'm well versed to speak about. So if anybody had any questions about that, I know the purpose of this was just to let you know that we're working on it. And she was going to be, Whit is the one who does all the funding and I do the mosaic part. So does anyone have any questions?
I do.
I do too.
Go ahead, Trish.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay, Rick. So I had a question about the installation of the large one outside of the flacuses, because it wasn't clear in there. The amount was a certain price, but it said didn't include a lift or whatever.
Yeah.
So what are you anticipating for that?
Well, when I went to the site, I don't know if any of you have been there. It's amazing how when you stand right there, it's huge. From the road, all of a sudden it seems like it's not so big, but when you're standing there, it's actually 11 feet to the bottom of that sign. So it starts at 11 feet and then it goes up probably 7.5, possibly 8 feet up. I have to get an exact measurement. So it's staging just doesn't seem like it would be as safe. So I just wasn't sure if the town of Shelburne or the town of Buckland had any lifts, or if it's something that we could try and find someone to donate the time, because it would be just a few hours using a lift. So anyway, if we can't do either of those, if no one has one and no one comes forward to donate one, I will have to find what the pricing is. But it would be just for one day, a couple hours early, 3 hours.
So as a follow-up to that, I believe the grant is in progress. She just submitted the grant. Is that right for this? Or are you also asking for money from the town or towns?
We're not asking for money from the towns. Whit is the one, though, who's working on all of the grants. And I know she's talked about it. I'm not sure where she's at. Yeah.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Rick.
yes, I see the note.
All right. Whit inadvertently showed up at town hall, so she's headed home to join via Zoom.
She thought the meeting was in person, apparently. Well,
Rick? Oh,
do you want to wait and ask if we give her some time a little later off of her appointment, or do you have a question for Cynthia?
oh, just a couple of things. One, my understanding is that, well, I guess my first question to you and Terry is, do we have any jurisdiction in this matter? Do we
Nope.
own either of the signs or
No.
no? Oh, so this is purely informational then.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I was a
Okay.
little surprised myself, but that's what Whit said. This is just to let you know of what we're talking about.
Right.
Yep. Well, it was a very
So,
comprehensive overview that they provided us, for sure.
Yeah, my understanding is that WIT is funding this through the Mass Cultural District funding.
Yeah, there are a few different places that she was talking about getting funding from.
They've done a GoFundMe, they're raising money. It's sort of tied together with the Buckland Bicycle Park concept and from a couple of years ago. So I think they're just using the funding they get through the cultural district to fund this project. In terms of addressing your question about the lifts, and Cindy, my only suggestion is that Lanú's Tree Service has in the past, probably the distant past, as far as my recollection, you donated their lift to help with village lighting projects. So there are, WIT knows about folks like that who you could approach if you want to explore bucket trucks and things like that, you know.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But there are a couple of people who have that kind of equipment. And my only question to you, again, going more to that big sign in front of the Flaccuses, is it looked like a pretty pricey sign. And my only concern was that it's a lot more exposed than the other one that's sort of nestled behind the shrubbery that, you know, seems pretty out of the way. I just worry about somebody taking pot shots at your sign when, you know, after you spent $13,000 or $14,000 on it. Do you have any concerns about having a really bright, expensive sign way up in the air like that?
That vandalism is what you're talking about is always a possibility. And, you know, knock on wood, the mosaics in Shelburne Falls have never been vandalized. And the existing sign doesn't appear to have been vandalized. And I've looked at it up close, it's just falling apart. But in my opinion, you don't hold off doing things for fear of something that might happen. So I would just set that worry aside.
Is the person with the thing that says Dell, is that WIT?
Yes, it is.
We have about 8 more minutes in your time slot. I understand how you turned around there, but we've reviewed the process with Cynthia, and
right.
And
she's perfectly capable.
Well, WIT, I made clear that I'm the mosaic person, not the rest of it.
And she made it clear, as we asked, because it appeared that way to us, that it was just a courtesy informational, since we don't have any vote in the matter. Thank you for keeping us appraised. Was there, in the few minutes left, do you want to have any other comments?
Well, yeah, I think this new project is an opportunity to explain what first GSF-ABA and then me working with the business association have done over the last, 4 years. GSF-ABA has always been the group that did projects like Cindy. She did Cindy's mosaics originally on the buildings in both Buckland and Shelburne. And when it went out of business, the board, well, you read it, they decided that we could help out by continuing the holiday decorations with Nick Danello, which we did. And we got also more grants from Senator Hines and the state to help boost the businesses in the village during the pandemic. So, and then people heard that I could raise money. So Cindy came to me and gave her idea about creating the Riverwalk. Then that was followed by Mike McCusker and crew, who wanted to do this pocket park, and Mike donated the land for the pocket park to the town of Buckland. And fortunately, we've been able to work with them. They've raised a little bit, we've raised a lot more, but we're plugging away with it and hope to have it done, the phase 1 done next year. Then, then came the village task force, and we've been following them, the CDC and me, and we decided we would pursue the website idea, which is what they came up with for most important for the village. And since then, Kate Chadwick has been working on that through West County Arts and Culture, and with a group that does rural websites. That's a tongue twister. And you see the logo they developed for the village, and there's, I don't know if you've looked at it, but it's pretty neat already. She has a little more to go, and then it will be done for a while unless we think of more things. And then I'm working with John, and I'm working with the CDC, which is working with FERCog and the chamber to see if we can't get someone to administer the village's cultural district with coordination, by coordinating the arts groups and the businesses, and just doing projects within the village that promote it, that beautify it, that make us even a better place. So that's the sum and substance.
Great. Well, your outline was very good, and you just filled in some of the blanks. I appreciate you keeping us in the loop on this and for all of your efforts. We had previously discussed the condition of the large sign at the Flackis's property. That is a town road that goes up almost halfway to their property. I don't know if the sign is on the town right away or on their land, but
it's on their land, and I got permission from both Larry and Calvin to improve those signs, and they're very pleased, Larry especially, because that sign, which went up during Mary Vilbon's tenure at the Business Association, it's pretty ratty looking. And
I think it's a better day for sure.
yeah, I'm sure Cindy can make it wonderful again and really welcoming. So
Thank you for the update, and keep us posted.
we shall do that. We're just at the beginning stages of raising some money.
We'll go on that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Thanks for all
you.
your work. It's really great to see volunteers get so involved in the community, and I really appreciate what you do to help create a more beautiful and prosperous village for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we've enjoyed it, and hopefully we can find that person to at least replace a Mary or a Carmela to work with the arts and the business community. And then beyond that, we look for somebody to write the grants and do the fundraising.
Great.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I don't see Norm on for our 6 o'clock appointment, so I will finish my liaison report until we see him pop on. I did attend the Franklin Regional Planning Board. That was 11 days ago. Discussion centered around
There's
on
Norm.
roads. Oh, there he is. Great. Let's get right to it. A minute early even. Mr. Beebe.
Well, hello there. Hang on, I'm just getting an email that will have all the details I need.
Okay.
You know,
This appointment is Norm Beebe, Chairman of the Shelburne Recreation Committee, discussing a volunteer effort to do crack filling on the tennis courts.
yes. So I don't know if people want some background on what's
Yeah.
happening with the court. Yes, no?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the courts, we had them fixed. We had them redone in 2017, I want to say. Terry probably would know, would catch me if I got that wrong, but I think that's right. And we started noticing tiny little cracks during COVID. Stefan Topolsky was always mentioning them to me, but we didn't really say anything, we think there was anything of it. And they've gotten more pronounced. Now the cracks are quite long, some are pretty wide. And so Mary Lou and Jay, because they're often on the courts, have volunteered to fill the cracks before winter if the weather holds out for them. It would just require, and this is where I consult my email. So it would basically, the plan is to use some acrylic latex. They will get it, either they're going to paint it green themselves or they're going to put green paint in it. But basically they're going to use that and with volunteers fill the cracks as best they can. This is a temporary fix. I mean, it will be a good fix for what we have going on right now, but what will happen is eventually the town is, and maybe the CPA money will cover it, but eventually the town will have to clear coat the courts. Apparently this is a thing. I never realized it. But the idea is that the courts would need to be clear coated every so many years. And so that's kind of where we're at. And Terry had given her okay with this, but then Mary Lou wanted it in writing. So here I am.
Okay, and the money was minimal, I believe, and
It was
already,
$95 for the material, and they might have to buy some paint.
and it's all within your budget anyway, right?
Yeah, that is. I mean, something else coming up for our budget, dare I mention this, Terry, is we may have to treat the infield of Arms Field with Roundup because apparently when they mowed the lawn, they mowed across the lawn and they brought all the stuff from the outfield into the infield, and guess what? They grew crabgrass. And
You
so
drove by it last weekend, I couldn't believe it. I said, I thought they
Well,
just did that over, and it looks
they
like
did, and it looked beautiful. And Kyle went out there and looked, and he said, "Oh, Christ!" He noticed that there were tire marks going across. Yeah, the thing is, so that's something that, for next year, I'll talk again to the person who mows the lawn. I've had conversations with him before. I think maybe it's a new person now, though. I think I talked to Rick maybe, but anyhow, I'm trying to remember who it was that I spoke to, and he was very amenable. So we'll have that conversation. In the spring, we'll have to treat it with an emergent, and Kyle had already told me that will need to happen, and that would be the entire field. So right now we're just looking to treat the infield with Roundup. But sorry, I digressed into another topic.
No problem. So before we take an official vote, so you have it on record, Andrew, any comments, discussion?
I haven't heard the motion yet.
Any discussion before we have a motion?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I don't have questions about that.
Any comments on what Norm has presented, Tricia?
I was just wondering, I just want to clarify that this is
Please.
just for what you're here talking to us about today is fixing the cracks with some acrylic latex that Mary Lou and Jay are going to do with some other volunteers, and you have money for that in your budget. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
So
exactly.
you just want our approval to do that project. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I will move that Mary Lou and Jay have the select board's blessing with their volunteers to fix the cracks at the tennis courts at Cowell with acrylic latex and some addition of green color, however they figure out how to do that. And the money will come out of the Recreation Committee's budget.
One thing I probably should have added, they were nervous that they just want people to be prepared that it won't look pristine because obviously the courts are faded. And suddenly we'll have cracks that are a more vibrant color, I would suspect.
So I would recommend that you folks write a note into the for the Two Town News. Just make sure it gets into the editors by October 21st. And it's 200 words or less. And at least we can get the word out that way. And also just put up signs that, hey, this is what we're doing. And, more to be revealed in the spring, I guess, right? And more clear coding and stuff.
Yeah, well, if we get money for it, that remains to be seen.
Okay.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I will second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Go.
Just a question is this something we need to vote on? I mean, it seems like this is just routine activity of the
I
recreation
think it
committee.
is too. That was.
I mean, it's nice that you're coming to tell us about it, but this seems like this is your job,
So-
you know?
Could I would be happy to address that if you want me
Sure.
to. So here's the thing. I explained this in this exact detail to Terry. Terry said, sure, wonderful. She asked if I had confidence in the people doing it. I said I did. I knew it was only going to be $100 or $200, and Terry gave her blessing. But then Mary Lou started asking for it to be in writing, which I don't understand because it is going to be in our minutes, and the approval will then be in our minutes too. So yeah, I think this is not necessary. But
Well,
I would just say oh, go ahead, Rick, I'm sorry.
well,
I'm
if
sorry.
in our packet, Andrew, was Mary Lou's email to Terry that says, when this whole thing came up, she says, well, Andrew Baker, acting as select board member, informed me that the Recreation Committee should come to the select board with recommendations and funding requests. So that's why she's saying she doesn't dare go ahead with it without fulfilling what you had told her to do. Allegedly told her to do.
And I would just say, Rick, we approve expenditures all the time. Basically, they
I
go
think-
through me. I send them, I sign off, and I submit them to Angel. So I'm not.
If
Was
I
trying
can
to-
correct my own record, Rick.
Yeah, absolutely. I said allegedly.
My recollection of what I was trying to communicate with Mary Lou, whether I succeeded or not, is that she, as a volunteer and member, I think she's a member of the Recreation Committee,
She is.
should come to the Recreation Committee and talk about her concerns and ideas and get them to approve whatever it is that they want to do within the scope of their work. If they have, additional projects that go sort of beyond the scope of the Recreation Committee that they might need additional funding for, or they might need approval from the select board, then yes, they should come to the select board and talk about those things. But if they're just routine projects that the Recreation Committee is already chartered to address, then no, they don't need to come to us. It's nice if they want to inform us, but you all have a scope and a job, and you're elected to do that, and God bless you.
Well,
So
I think-
that's what I was trying to communicate to Mary. I don't know if I succeeded or not.
Apparently it didn't all settle that way, but I hear you. I agree with you 100%. And if we do take a vote, we're just asking for this to come before us for minor things like this forevermore. Is there a way at this point with a motion and a second to think about withdrawing the motion and just say, Norm, you have the authority under your own purview to deal with this, but thanks for telling us about it.
So I'd be happy to withdraw the motion. I just want to make sure there was something important that Andrew just said there, that within the charter of the rec committee, if you have the authority to do this, Norm, then you don't really need our approval. And I know you do have expenses that you folks pay for all the time. So I just want to make sure that this is one of those, since it's different than just buying pickleball rackets and balls.
Or balls or things like that. No, completely. And in fact, the one thing that I would say, and this is what Mary Lou's point is, I think, is that, it's a town court. That's why I talked to Terry. I just wanted, we weren't just going to run out there suddenly and paint it purple. We were, we would say, Terry, rec committee really wants a purple court. We have volunteers. They're all set to do it. And, we wouldn't just do that. And so that's the part. But in terms of paying for it, well, we can pay for it. It's, we don't have an extensive budget. Things like the ball field, that may be another story in terms of having to treat it with Roundup and things like that. But that we can address when I get more information.
Andrew and perhaps Terry, you two are the ones with way more experience than Tricia and I. How procedurally can we undo that?
Well, I think just a move to withdraw is fine, but I just to clarify, on the town-owned property business, I think routine maintenance belongs to you. And if you're proposing a major grant-funded improvement or changing the use of it or something like that, then yeah, it would be a good idea to bring it, for wider discussion.
And I would say that routine maintenance, to be honest, it's not always the purview of the rec committee. That I would push back on that a little. We
Okay.
rely on the town to provide someone to clean it, but we
Right.
point out
I'm
things.
talking
And this is
about
something we pointed out and that we can address. And so we figured, what the heck?
Yeah. No,
Let us do it.
I was saying routine maintenance that's within your budget, is
Sure.
if you need additional help, then yes, come to the town. So
Okay,
I would
well,
move that we withdraw the motion.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded to withdraw the motion. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Andrew,
I,
Tricia,
Aye.
and I am I as well. That passes unanimously. Norm, go about your business as you normally do.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. Nice to meet you, Tricia. I hadn't met you officially. And good to
Thank
see you,
you.
Andrew and Terry and Sylvia
Hi.
of course, from years ago.
Thanks
Hey,
very
everybody.
much for all you do, Norm.
thank
We
you.
appreciate
Thank you,
you.
Norm.
Thank you, Tricia. I appreciate that. Bye-bye now. I'm trying to leave.
Bye.
Here it is.
Okay, I will finish up briefly with my last liaison report. I did attend the Franklin Regional Planning Board meeting 11 days ago. Discussion centered around unpaved roads and stormwater management. I found it interesting that Shelburne is among those very few that have 25% roughly of unpaved roads, and most towns in this area have way more than that. So they had a graph chart and we were way at the bottom, which surprised me a little bit, I guess positively. We discussed the watershed scale zoning process, specifically the Deerfield. What they are trying to do is get their zoning in alignment so that if we, for example, have zoning in this regard, the downriver town or towns need to align with that for it to have any value. And it turned out that Shelburne's was very good and Greenfield's wasn't, and they're taking steps to try and get Greenfield's to align with ours on the Deerfield River watershed. We also discussed ADU, accessory dwelling units, and the new state laws that are coming in, and the planning boards across the state looking at a process and a timing to put a moratorium on them to give towns time to actually put in some regulations to make sure things don't go crazy in that regard. And so the bottom line is I felt, okay, this should be a planning board person here, not me. So the town is given two positions on this Franklin Regional Planning Board. One from the planning board, one from the select board. Last year, Trish from the planning board served on it. During our assignments in the spring, Trish has decided, well, not knowing how much was involved in the select board, that she didn't want to continue with it as the select board rep. No one else came forward, so I accepted the select board version. Apparently, the chair of the planning board checked in and was told that I was taking care of it, and felt that they didn't need to appoint anybody from there. So there was some confusion that we actually have two slots. And as I say, this meeting I sat through was very interesting, but none of my bailiwick, if you will. It's definitely planning board stuff. So I reached out to John Wheeler, the chair of the planning board, and at his next meeting, they plan to try and get one of their members to volunteer to take the second slot. And I have offered to attend as not conflicting with other meetings I have, but also on the event the planning board rep can't make it, that I certainly will fill in and provide a report. So that's a quick update on that.
Excuse me, Rick. The
Yes.
planning board did appoint Paul Hollings to serve as the planning board's rep back when appointments were made. And Paul is here this evening.
John didn't remember that when I spoke to him this week, or last week, I should say. So, okay, where were you, Paul? I'm kidding. So, all right. Did the planning board send in that appointment, the form, like the one that you sent in for me to be a member?
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. All right, so I guess the problem's resolved. That wasn't a problem. It was just a miscommunication between John and myself that they hadn't picked someone. So I guess we're covered on that. Tricia.
Rick?
Hi, thank you, Rick. And thank you for your service, Paul. I appreciate that you are going to be the planning board rep on the regional planning board. My one request would be that after those meetings, Paul, if you could share just kind of the highlights to the select board and some kind of, mini synopsis, like what Rick just gave about what the regional planning board is working on. So that way we have an awareness of what's happening. I think that would be really helpful. I've found during my time on the planning board, it would have been nice for the select board to know everything that we had learned at the regional planning board. And the select board has so much to try to keep track of, and this is kind of a big issue. That just, 4 sentences in an email, this is what we did. And it's just every couple of months, I believe, that you'll meet with them. So could you do that, please? Okay.
Andrew?
Thank
Oh,
you.
I missed the first sentence that you said about the big issue that the regional board was working on. What is that issue?
I said the main issues were, and there were 3. The first one was the unpaved road.
Oh, I got the roads, yeah.
Stormwater management. The second was watershed scale zoning.
Yeah,
And that's the one where Greenfield and ours are trying to be aligned. So
I
there'll be,
got that, yeah.
and the third is the accessory dwelling units.
Oh, okay, thank you. That was the one I missed. Okay, thanks.
Okay, old business. Knotweed management plan, Old Greenfield Road. I think you mentioned in your report, Andrew, that October 18th, I think, is the current scheduled date.
No, that was October 21st is the date for PV Squared to come back
That's
and
right.
do the solar panels. But I did speak with Jeff this morning, and he said that he has gotten approval through the waiver and Concom process for 2 applications of chemical treatment of the knotweed where that is indicated. And unfortunately, time is marching on, and as I mentioned, he's expecting a frost this week. If that does in fact come to pass, that may delay the chemical application, because that chemicals depend on the leaves transmitting the chemical down into the roots in order to be effective. So if the leaves flop over and wilt, he said that decision he was going to leave to the applicator to make. So we'll have to just see what happens on that. And then there's another section over by the Cosby's land where they are not on board with chemical application. So he is proceeding with a cover and smother approach over there. And he has the materials to the mulch and the fabric and branches and all the rest to do that. So that's the current state of the knotweed treatment approach.
Saga. Yes, I did attend the Concom meeting when they took those actions, and the applicator was there, and he did explain that if it was a killing frost, that could end the project until later. If it's not a killing frost, he needs to look 2 weeks ahead of the spray date or beyond the spray date, because it takes 2 weeks for the spray to do its job to get into the roots. So all the delays that we had in getting all these hoops jumped through put us out to this frost watch, if you will. So they know what they're doing. They're properly licensed. It's being overseen by everyone, and we'll hope it comes out for the best, and they'll all do the right thing, I'm sure.
Good.
Any other discussion on that?
No.
We'll go on to old business item B, ARPA funds. We have an updated list provided by Terry of what we've done so far, what's left, and the items currently in the idea stage, and ballpark numbers on some of them. One of them, the first one, the repair of the Village Information Center foundation and siding. We've had a quote of $2,750 for the foundation repair. However, that's the only one we've received so far, and Terry has a second vendor who is visited the site last Friday, I believe, and has not yet put in some numbers. And they would be separate, I guess, from the foundation, would be one job, and then separately would be the repair of the clapboards and painting, and apparently a window now that has sill rot that may need to be replaced. Did I get most of that right, Terry?
Yes, you did.
And
Right.
yes, Andrew.
No, I was just going to add that on the projects that I was asked to research, I have given Terry the estimates that I found for the remainder of the pocket park work, the landscaping, the gardens, the bench caps. So she has those numbers.
That's on our slip too, 35,000.
Yeah, that's a very rough number, but at least it was based on 3 people giving us their guesstimates. Renaissance Builders is coming this way to do some exploratory work in the theater that the Memorial Hall group is hiring them to do, so that we can get an estimate on the ceiling repair. They have to actually go up above the ceiling and look at it. And we have to cut a hole in the sheetrock, and so they can go in there on the catwalk up high there. But while they're doing that, I'm hoping to get them to go over and take a look at the pothole deck as well.
Oh, great.
And but my recommendation for the pothole deck, especially given this Village Information Center project, is that we go after the pothole deck with CPA money next year, and just, you know, try to patch up whatever small things need to get nailed down or fixed up in between, you know.
Well, Renaissance folks are great, and if they can look at it and give us an idea, I think it would certainly be helpful. So thank you for thinking of that.
Yeah.
I agree. You know, I think at this point we should be looking at repair, make it safe, and get an idea from a professional if the repair is going to be good for a period of time, and it may not need full replacement. So
Right.
I think good on you for thinking to have them do that.
There's one little project there that would be nice to do maybe next spring is the big locust that's growing up through the deck. Needs to have is pressing against the boards now, so it needs a little bit of breathing room there. So somebody can just come through and, you know, cut out the boards a little bit to widen that hole.
The highway department has been keeping an eye on it and widening it little by little.
Oh, they have. Okay, that's
Yes.
good. I'm glad to hear that.
Any other comments?
I just want to ask real quick. So when we got the energy assessment from that grant for the building electrification, there were some items dealing with Memorial Hall, with the lighting as well as some insulation. So would it be possible when Renaissance Builders are there looking at the ceiling to also incorporate some of those items with that the Energy Committee has the information from Weston and Sampson about?
I'm not quite sure I'm following you about what you're talking about, lighting and.
So there were some, when they did the energy efficiency assessment for Memorial Hall. One of
That was a
the,
Green Communities project we did a number of years ago, yeah.
Oh, this was the recent one
Yeah.
where they looked at the town,
Oh, the recent,
the Cowell Gym in the same study.
yeah,
yeah,
so they-
so there were some energy efficiency items that were listed in that resultant report
right.
that involved some of the lighting and other things within Memorial Hall. And if I'm not mistaken, there were some things that dealt with the ceiling area. So it might be a good idea to have that in hand when Renaissance Builders goes there, or have somebody from the Energy Committee to be there so they can talk to them about some of those other improvements, and maybe we can get those taken care of as well while they're up there.
Possibly, yeah. I think if they involve lighting, that we will probably do that in phase 3 of that project. Because there's a whole another piece to that in terms of code review and electrical wiring and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we could just swap the bulbs with LEDs or whatever, but that's not really a huge priority at this point. It's more that I think the work is good and should be folded in, but it may, in terms of order of operations, it may come at in a later phase of the project.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to just put that sort of on your radar so that
Yeah,
in the order of operations, they may say, oh yeah, we could do this part of it right now. So,
yeah.
okay,
No, I think certainly if it's addressable, and that's part of the reason we're doing this little investigative part with them now, is to open up the catwalk again so that people can get up there and kind of assess what the current state of things are. I mean, I think we blew insulation up there years ago when we put in the heating system, and we don't know, for example, whether they put a fabric down before they blew the insulation in. So that will make a difference when we start trying to fix the tin ceiling. You know, if you pull off those panels of tin, is a big cloud of insulation going to drop down into the hall or not? So we have to sort of find out how it's all put together right now, as well as what the extent of water damage is to the tin ceiling, which you can see some of it from below, but you might see more of it from up there too. So that's what we're trying to assess and figure out. But yes, I think if there are other things we can do while we're up there, that would be a good time. Otherwise, you know, there's conduit running up there, going from the projection booth to the stage, and we put that in last time we worked up there so that we could do electrical improvements in the future, and that's kind of where we left it. So yeah, but if I'll have to go back and refine my copy, or get Terry to send me the copy of the Weston and Sampson report so we can share that with the architect. Joe Maddie is helping us with that project.
great. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay, old business item C, transfer station operations. Proposed changes is one item, and then the bottle redemption shed is a second. On the first, you have in your packet the information about the recommendations so far. One, I'll give you my 2 cents, keeping the trash labels, but require them to be placed around the bag ties. If we're going to keep the label system, I don't see the value of this. It's something that I would suggest we would hold off on, trying to get people to start putting their stickers around the tie. Other towns have done it, I know, but change is not always easy. And we've basically got one bad actor that's causing this issue. And I wouldn't think I would want to I would support forcing that kind of change, because people are going to forget. They've been doing it for decades. If we're going to stay with the stickers, I'd leave that one alone personally. The window
What is the reason for putting them around the bag tie? I don't get that.
there's people that hide the sticker from him, from the attendant, and throw it in, causing consternation between
I
the
see.
question about, are you a resident? It's
Huh.
and it's one or two people tops. So I think that'll work itself out. The other is the window decals. The feeling, I think, the recommendation I agree with, which is to kind of wait and see. We can deal with that as a board if we feel that the problem of non-resident use continues. The transfer station folks tell me that the dust has settled a bit. So I think the message is out there, the signs are adequate, that's one thing that we can pursue later if need be. The identifying the locations to sell trash labels locally and eliminate sales at the transfer station. That's one I support completely, especially if we can't get to a point where we can have two people on at all times. The COG people tell us virtually every other town our size has two people all the time. It's a lot of work for one person to try and keep a handle on and go in, make change, bring stickers out, while other people are throwing bags in and doing their cardboard and their bottle redemption or their recyclables. It's a lot to ask, and I think the dust would settle and people would be happier if we found a way to implement that. That's my thoughts on those suggestions. I'd love to hear yours. Andrew, any comments?
I'm in general agreement with you, Rick. I think that you got a good approach there.
Okay, Tricia?
Yeah, I would agree that I agree with all of that, especially well, my biggest question was how big of a problem is the use of the transfer station by out-of-towners? And you're saying it's only a couple people, if that?
No, that's a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
The little thing is asking them to put the sticker on the tie so that the attendant can see the sticker before it goes in the bag into the crusher. Because we do have one or two people that have taken offense to being asked if they were in town. So they put the sticker and they purposely hide it and go over and they look at the transfer guy and throw it in with a smirk. It's just childish, but that's limited.
Okay, so how do we know that out-of-towners are using the transfer station now?
Well, he's asking other people, as people come in that he doesn't know, he asks. There's cars with New York plates, Connecticut plates. Those are obvious asks. There's people with apartment buildings who don't live locally, go there. They're from out of town, but yet they feel they can bring their trash up there, which it was generated in a place in town. So it's a sticky wicket, and I wouldn't want to be the attendant.
So those folks are also not having a town sticker placed on the trash bags?
No, they're using stickers.
Okay.
Two totally separate instances of consternation there.
I got you. So I
Yeah.
guess like if I had, for example, I've got relatives here now from Georgia, and if I went in their car to the transfer station, but I'm with them and I have my Shelburne sticker, it would raise, I guess, their eyebrows a little bit, but then they'd see the Shelburne sticker and say, oh, that's okay. Or they would say, you've got an out-of-state plate. Are you a resident of Shelburne?
You'd most likely be asked.
Okay.
And
Go ahead.
there are signs posted too, Shelburne residents only, etc., trying to defray or deflect the amount of trouble.
Yeah. So then the only question I had about, and I agree too with you both about trying to alleviate some of the workload of the folks at the transfer station if selling of the stickers is really something that's becoming more of a problem for them. If we are to find others to sell them, how do we compensate them for selling them? Are they just going to do it out of the goodness of their heart? Are they going to sell them at Keystone? And how are they? Because they could just sell them to anybody. They're not going to know if they're Shelburne residents either.
Yep, I agree. It would certainly require some research if we decided to pursue that. My personal feeling is most of the issues at the transfer station go away if we can just put 2 people on the job. Like every other town is doing apparently around us. I think that's the salvation, leave everything else the way it is. If one fellow is able, or he or she are able to go in, sell the tickets, make the change, and the other one is still able to take care of business and help people, I think all these little petty things would go away. That's my personal opinion. But currently that's not our policy, I guess. We have 2 people available. I think, do we have a portion of one of the days, Terry, where we do have 2 people on? No. So we have 2 different people that are working on it. I think Rick Grant has also expressed some interest in it as well. But I personally think we should just pursue getting a second person and have 2 people on all the time. Then all this stuff goes away because it's a headache waiting to happen to try and address these 3 different things separately.
Well, we would
Well-
hope that it would make all the problems go away. We don't know for sure that it would, right? And then we could still be here after hiring a second person, having this discussion again, saying, okay, we still need a way to stop out-of-towners from using the transfer station, and how are we going to do that?
Mhm.
And then if it turns out that it's some other process, then do we let that person go? Or do we keep them? Do we just think that's the best practice in general to have 2 people working? I think Terry wanted to tell me something.
I think I know what she's going to say too, and I don't disagree. But I'll let you go, Terry. Is it about the handling of cash and deposit responsibility and all that?
No, I serve on the Franklin County Solid Waste District, and most of the transfer stations have both the window decal that you have to register as a resident. So you know right off the bat that you're a resident. And then they sell the trash labels at other locations. So you don't go into the transfer station if you don't have a window decal. And that's how they police who's buying. If you just, no entry, they have someone posted at the entrance, and if you don't have a decal,
Yeah,
then you have to go buy one.
Andrew.
I agree with that approach. That makes sense to me because, while, it might be the need for 2 people there, I'm not fully convinced of that yet. I would need to really hear more about why we would need 2 staff people if we're not making change. And I agree, I think that, the second person, while they will provide more presence, is still going to be faced with the social dynamic of having to make these interventions. And if that's uncomfortable, I think Terry's setup it is the best way to address it. Is just, you got to show your decal. You got your decal, you don't have your decal. And you got a decal, then that takes care of the why you buy stickers, at Keystone or wherever, And I would say at Keystone, in terms of compensation, for them, it's free marketing, They get me to come in there more often to buy stickers, and I'm going to look around and buy something else,
I don't disagree with that at all, and except the fact that it would definitely require 2 people if somebody's posted at the gate, not letting them in, and somebody else has to be way around up the hill at the actual transfer station location. So
I don't know that they need to be posted at the gate. I mean,
Terry said that that's what the other towns did.
well,
I know of 2 that have decals that have people policing the decal as you come in.
Oh, okay.
In
Yeah.
fact, in Greenfield, you don't put the sticker on the bag. You pull in, you hand them your sticker, say, I have one bag, and then you're able to go in.
Oh, well, can we do that? Instead of putting, I know what you were saying, Rick, about everybody's used to putting the sticker on the bag, and we don't want to change the process by even saying it has to go on the handle or the ties. But what Terry is suggesting is then they show up with their bag and their sticker. It kind of makes the use of a sticker moot if they're not sticking it on. It could be anything that says, I live here. What if they just have I was just going to say, if they have the decal on the car, but that still isn't going to address the amount of trash they might produce.
I'm not sure why you couldn't have the current system in place where, you know, the attendant is standing or sitting in or next to their little shed there, right by the, you know, where you dump your bags, and somebody rolls up, they can clearly see whether they got a sticker or not. And you know, they can also see how many trash bags they're throwing into the thing, you know. I mean, otherwise you're on the honor system of, here's my sticker, but I'm going to put 5 bags into the trash can, you know. So, you know, I would say let them just stand there and monitor it. And, you know, if you have obstreperous people who, you know, defy the system, have them just take their license plates down and issue them a citation, you know, say, you know, enjoy your day, but we'll be passing your plate along to our local constabulary, you know.
I,
Terry, you prepared this list. Is this your recommendation that we should and have the authority to go with a window decal? I think it was suggested at $20 a year that people would have to come to town hall to buy their sticker. For 20 a year, put it on their car, and it would expire the next year. Is that the process I recall?
Yeah, there would have to be a fairly large window of opportunity, say 6 months, but from the time we bought the stickers from people to register. We could even have it go into effect July 1st. But I believe Buckland is now introducing the window decal. So I feel like there's even more pressure to kind of follow suit, because I think people will shift to another location that doesn't require it. That's my guess, but
Well,
it's basically proof of residency. And if, you know, I am a 2-car household, I only have one sticker, and we use that one vehicle for transfer station runs. And it doesn't have to be $20 at the price of the decal. It can be far less than that if the select board desires.
I'm open.
I would not want it to be $20 a year. I think I'd like to do it much less. You know, I know that's a concern for some of our residents. So whatever price would cover the cost of the window decal appears to be very inexpensive. We get 1,000, or we probably wouldn't need more than that, right?
No.
So
We would have to have them coming in, 1,000 people to come into town hall to take Terry's time to sell them.
right,
Should we
right.
we ask to look into the source for the window decals, how much they cost, or do you already know this?
It's on your pricing list at the very top in the packet.
Yeah, it comes out to 77 cents per
Got it.
per sticker. And then, yeah, Rick, you were thinking exactly what I was thinking about, you know, the amount of time it would take Terry to process that. We would want to make sure that she's getting compensated for that work as well. So you know, I'd like to see more of a, you know, breakdown. How long would it take to process the the sticker, can we make it just an online Google form that once a week, people come, they provide, this is my address. I want a sticker, and then we can mail it to them. So it doesn't have, they can pay for it online perhaps, or something like that to avoid people coming in and interrupting you all the time. If
could
you're going to
find-
sell them.
Yeah, well,
getting
assuming that I'm the salesperson, but we could come up with a system that's better than having to create an envelope and postage and mailing it out.
Yeah.
That's, I see what Joe's doing with ballots, and I would really rather not do that for stickers.
Andrew?
What if you were to ask and see if there were some poll workers who wanted to take this on as a little election day project, and you could knock down quite a lot of people, Terry's time by having people do that when they go vote,
Can't be done at an election.
Yeah,
No?
can't. No,
All right.
elections are very strict about what you can do. So, yeah.
If you want to move forward on this, do you want to authorize Terry to order inside window decals, and based on that price, set an implementation fee and a start date? Or you want to take this under advisement, ponder it, and deal with it at a future meeting?
I personally would like to get kind of how it would work and how much it would cost first, because we have the price of the decals now, which is quite minimal. I'm more concerned about all the other costs that are going to be involved in making this happen for the residents. I think it looks like it's probably going to be less than, maybe it'll be around $10 or something like that, which I think is pretty reasonable for people. I know, Andrew, you had some really strong feelings about adding another cost for people to live in town. So I want to make sure that that would be okay with you, but I would be fine with something around $10 or less, and just explain the reason why we're doing this. And one other concern I'm just going to throw out there, if this is really like people who are coming into town on vacation or something like that, and they want to get rid of their trash, we should have a way that they can get rid of their trash, because if we don't, then they're going to start dumping it into the bins in public spaces, even though they say no household trash on them. Because it's difficult to go to some of the smaller towns in Massachusetts and not have a way to get rid of your trash. I know people go out to the Cape and then they end up dragging all their trash back home with them to throw it out, because it's too difficult to get to throw their trash out there in some of those towns, because they don't have a sticker, and they get a temporary sticker, and it's, good for a week and whatever, the transfer station isn't open on Saturdays when they're leaving or something like that. So I wouldn't want to sort of shoot ourselves in the foot with our tourist industry by creating this other hoop for people to go through to get their trash taken care of properly. So I want to be mindful of that as well.
I think they already have that hoop currently, though. But it is complicated. It's getting more complicated the more we talk. What's your pleasure?
Well, my question, one question I have is going back to Terry and just saying, are you envisioning yourself as the chief salesperson of this enterprise, or?
I haven't thought that far. If I need to be, I can be. I'll set up a little table at the transfer station, but I'm sure we can find a way to make it happen.
Okay,
Even a town meeting would be an ideal time if it were going, into effect July 1.
Yeah, that would be great.
That's a great idea.
Come a little early and buy your sticker. But and do you have other ideas of other people other than yourself? I know your time is more precious to me than selling stickers to people. So
yeah, I haven't thought that far at this point. No.
So do we want to decide that we want to move forward with the window decals as a possibility, as what we would like to do, but we just need to set a price for it based on the work involved to get it out to people. We can work out those details later. I think it seems to me, I don't know what you folks think, but it's sounding like we all agree we should get a window decal. We're just not sure how much we should charge people for it or how the process will work to verify that they're residents and that they can purchase a sticker and how we're going to get it to them.
So Terry, you must know what Greenfield charges for their sticker. And you mentioned that Buckland is going this route. Have they decided what the price for their sticker would be?
I don't know that, no. I know Greenfield is 20 and you purchase them either at City Hall or at the transfer station. In town of Northfield, I think you purchase them at City Hall.
Well, I would be comfortable starting with a $10 sticker and have you, Terry, organize the selling of it. I think my sense of the one case where it might be sticky is if, you know, to address Tricia's concern about the tourist trade. If you're here for a weekend and you're in a B&B of some kind, that's the landlord's responsibility, not yours. If you're renting the place for a week or 2 weeks, that's where it might get sticky. If you're if you're a summer resident, then you probably have time to figure out how to get yourself a sticker, and $10 is not a prohibitive price if you're here for, you know, a month or two or whatever. But it's those people who might be renting for a week or two who might get stuck, you know. I don't know what the answer is there right off the bat.
Should we consider a motion to adopt a resident sticker program with the stickers annually a $10 fee starting July 1st, 2025, with sales of said sticker at the town hall and transfer station?
Sure. And anywhere else that Terry wants to organize.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little hesitant to agree to the $10 because what if we find out that it's going to cost us more to do all this? Can we agree to go ahead and require a sticker and then we'll work out the details at a later date when we have more data? Would you guys be okay with that, or you just want to go with the $10 and then if it finds out it's
I
gonna?
would go with the $10 and raise it next year if it turns out we lost money on it or something like that, you know. But I mean, I think basically we're just trying to pay for Terry's time to figure it out. The cost of the sticker sounds pretty negligible.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How about
second. Yeah.
Okay.
What'd you say,
Terry?
Terry?
I was just gonna say I can query other towns between now and our next meeting and find out how they handle sticker sales in a mass way, if it
Sure.
makes everyone more comfortable.
I wouldn't want to have our price be really different from Buckland's either, you know, because then we're going to end up. I'm in Shelburne Falls, and then you know, we'll have that problem again.
I'm happy to let it wait till next meeting if you want to bring us more information, Terry. I mean, I think
Okay.
it doesn't feel super urgent to me.
No.
I'm as well.
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Second matter is transfer station bottle redemption shed. We got a request from one of the select board members from Charlemont, not from the board itself, regarding requesting that the bottle shed, the redemption bottle shed at the transfer station, go to a first come, first served situation where Mohawk Trail or Hollamont school districts could kind of at will just go and collect the bottles and cash them in for their programs. We decided to get input from the Mohawk Athletic Association because they started this decades ago. They've been the only one doing it. The complaint or the suggestion or the reasoning was that on occasion the shed gets filled and you can't put any more in, and this would solve the problem. So I did reach out to Louis Goodnow, who is on the Mohawk Athletic Association. He is in charge of the Bottle Redemption Center. He told the Mohawk Athletic Association Executive Committee-
Sorry, Rick, we lost you there.
Hello.
There you go. You just broke up there. I couldn't hear anything you said.
Okay, did you hear that Louis Goodnow was the?
Yeah.
Okay, he's the head of the bottle redemption system. He polled the executive committee of the association. They empowered him to tell us that no, they would not support that they built it. It's been an integral part of their funding source. Louis Goodnow, who has taken point and been doing the actual collection from it, said yes, there have been occasions, perhaps over time, occasionally, sporadically, however, where he's gotten behind. Interestingly, after our meeting last 2 Mondays ago, I called him the following Tuesday and he said, actually, it's all cleaned up. So it's spotless now. I have caught up. I did get behind, and he has enlisted another volunteer to help stay ahead of it. And he is telling us that that problem he can't promise it'll never happen again, but it will be the attention to detail of how regularly it's emptied will in fact improve significantly, especially with a second volunteer, and that the athletic association would ask us to decline the offer. That's all I know. Any
That
thoughts?
seems great. No, I think that's good. I think, thank you for looking into that. That was my one question was, did we hear from the athletic association of what they want, about what they wanted? It's their shed. We should do what they want to do with it and not what someone else who is speaking sort of on their own behalf brought to us. So I guess we just pass on this idea about the bottle shed. Just say, no, we're going to do what the athletic association wants.
Do we have comments from you, Andrew?
Yeah, I agree with Tricia and you about that. I think that was the upshot of last meeting was check with them first, and we did, and I think we should stick with them and follow that recommendation. I guess my one suggestion for tip for the future would be to post Lewis's contact information with our transfer station attendant. So if they see that things are starting to fall behind, give them a call and say, we need action here, because I think if it's going to become a regular nuisance, then yes, it is our business. It's not just their shed. It's more of a public problem. But as long as they're on top of it, I'm happy to have them continue to manage it.
I think it's fair to say it's an ongoing problem, or has been, but it's also fair to say it's quite sporadic. I mean, it happens. Everybody's a volunteer here. So I'll take them at their word that they hear the message and that they will have addressed it. Do we need a motion, or can we just give a consensus to Terry to reply to the gentleman from Charlemont? Is a consensus?
I'm happy to have them just follow up that way, but I would like to have the transfer station attendant have a contact and there, so that they don't have to loop through us every time there's a problem. They can just make a phone call.
I will contact the point person, Louis Goodnow, and ask him to provide that.
Okay, I agree with all of that. We might as well just vote on it, and then we know that it'll happen. So I move that we just decline the offer to participate in a different method for doing the bottles at the bottle shed, and go with what the Athletic Association wants to do. And with the caveat that we'll get the contact information for Mr. Goodnow to the transfer station attendant in case there's a problem.
Second.
Matter's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Tricia?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
And I am aye. Motion passes unanimously. Solar array installation. I think you gave us a brief report. October 21st is the last date I'm sure rain or whatever could change it, but that's the ballpark where they're gonna start actually doing the work. So that's exciting. Any other comments on solar array?
No, my understanding is that permitting is in place and they're just fitting it into their own production schedule.
Correct. That's what I heard as well.
Great.
Old business, item C, Christopher Curtis's former request on behalf of the Deerfield River Watershed Association. They were looking for a representative from town. Terry sent that letter in request to the Conservation Commission, I believe, or was it the Rec Commission? I think it was
Open space.
Open Space, and what was the other one? Conservation?
Conservation.
Which were recommended by that Deerfield group. We didn't get any answers, so we did a follow-up after the last meeting. Someone has come forward to volunteer from the Open Space Committee to do that. It's Joan LaPierre, the chairman of the Open Space, sent us a communication that he will put the vote to the members to confirm her as their appointee to serve in that position. So my thought at this point, because of the cycle of their first meeting and being in at the ground floor, that we might be able to consider appointing her to the Deerfield River Watershed Association as the Shelburne representative, pending confirmation of that by the Open Space Committee. Is that a reasonable thought?
I think so. If they're not going to, so I guess what you were saying is the Deerfield River Watershed Association is going to meet before the Open Space Committee will have a chance to formally approve this. Sure. I think that makes sense. So at least she can go and see. She may go and decide she doesn't want to do it too.
Not that kind of person.
I don't think so. But okay. I think that makes sense. Do you need a motion for that?
We would need to appoint their selection. So the Open Space can choose their person. They haven't formally, but we would need to appoint it once they do. So I was thinking, we've done it before, that we could make that appointment. I think we did it. Well, we've done it recently. Make that appointment pending confirmation of that selection by the Open Space Committee.
But you're kind of flipping it around. I thought they were supposed to recommend somebody and then we would appoint them.
That's correct. That's a normal process, but the scheduling of meetings and precedents, we have actually done a vote previously to appoint someone pending approval of the formal approval of the committee. I think it was from the Energy Committee possibly, but so that's why I brought it up. We don't have to do it. We can wait, but we've done it before, and it wouldn't hold if the Open Space Committee doesn't in fact appoint her.
Do we have any knowledge that they want to appoint her? Because it sounds like we could be setting up an awkward situation.
I'm good either way.
Okay.
You will.
Hang on. I think there was something in our packet though that said that, just a moment, it was from
Larry.
Yeah.
And
I'll read it.
yeah, I'm going to try to get it. It's backwards, right?
I've got it.
That's great news. Larry said, thanks for stepping up for this role. I think you'll find it very interesting. It'll be a great benefit to Shelburne and our open space efforts if we are able to achieve the wild and scenic designation. I'll put the recommendation on our next meeting agenda and then send it to the select board for their confirmation. When is the next
So Larry's
meeting?
in favor.
Yes, Larry's in favor, and he's the chair, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe that's what you had said, Rick, that the chair said that that was fine. They just need to go through their approvals. And in order for Joan to start attending the Deerfield River Watershed Association meetings, she would need to have some kind of appointment. And so with his blessing kind of, and then if we say, yes, we'll appoint her pending this, she can attend. And then if open space decides something different, we'll move on from there. So I think
If you're
this is
uncomfortable with that,
reasonable.
Andrew, because I would certainly recuse myself from the vote. If you're uncomfortable with that thought, Andrew, let's just put it off and wait for their official.
It doesn't feel hugely problematic. I mean, I just am a little bit hesitant to step in front of another committee's purview in terms of what their prerogatives are, you know. And you know, I understand the logic and the timeline and the reason for doing it, but it feels, you know, like we're usurping their powers to some extent. You know?
No
Would
worries.
it be
let's-
possible for Joan to just attend the next Deerfield River Watershed Association meeting as somebody who's interested in joining? And then once open space does their vote, we can appoint her officially.
That is her plan because their meeting will happen before the next open space meeting. So that's already in play.
I
So-
think that's a good
Okay.
idea, just to have
Let's
her
go with
go
that.
and we'll, I mean, I'm happy to have her do it. I have no objection to Joan doing it. I think that's great that she's volunteering. It's just more of a,
No
you know,
worries. No worries.
not wanting to step on their
we've done it
toes kind
before.
of
I
thing,
didn't-
you know?
I didn't just
Yeah.
make it up. We've done it before. So that's, I thought, okay, there's one thing we can just get off our plate, but no worries. Let's move on. New business, police department wage and classification study proposals. You have that in your packet as well. There were two proposals received. I
Yep.
trust you reviewed the proposal outline and seen the comments from the chief, myself as liaison to the police and the town administrators comments.
Yeah,
Any,
I agree with your assessments, and I would go along with using the proposal from Capital Strategic Solutions.
is that a motion?
Yes, let's approve the Capital Strategic Solutions proposal for the police department wage and classification study.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Thank you all for your input and your review. It was
I will-
very helpful.
I will point out that this would be funded by a $10,000 grant that Terry was able to procure for us. Is that correct, Terry?
Awesome job, Terry.
Great job. Thank you. Okay, it has been moved and seconded. We'll put it to a vote. Tricia?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
I am an aye, passes unanimously. Okay, thank you for your patience, Sylvia. We're on to West County Senior Services District acceptance of the Chapter 402 in the Acts of 2022. The information that was sent to us by you basically reviewed that you had met with us before, presented the plan. We asked questions, had no changes. You did the same with other parties. It ended up with the same result. And so since there are no changes to what was presented to us before, you're asking for us to vote on a proposed motion so that they're in sync with all the other parties that are in the game. Did I get it right?
You got it right. You got it right.
Any comments?
No, this will cover the requirements that are in the legislation for the approval of the transition plan and the acceptance of the legislation and the determination of the senior center consortium with the dates that are listed in the proposed motion that we sent to you. And Christine is here too. She's one of the managers that's been involved in the whole process.
Christine, did you want to say anything?
No, my dog is barking. No, I think that it's just pretty clear what
Yeah.
to be done.
Seemed very straightforward. So would we be open to a motion to pass the wording as supplied?
Do you need this to be read verbatim? to accept chapter 402 of the acts, all that in text that's in bold
That's what
that
we
you provided. Right, so
Do we need to read it,
make the
Terry?
motion, do we need to read it all out?
Terry,
I think for the- I
Remove the
think for the-
bolded text.
there you go. We move the bolded text. That's a possibility. If that works, then sure.
Will it work?
As long as our minutes taker
Carrie's
is
on
a-
mute and she's talking. Hold on. Yeah.
Sorry, I would make a motion to accept chapter 402 of the Acts of 2022 as presented.
So
Okay.
moved.
So moved and seconded.
Seconded.
So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Barry, do you have any concerns about any of this?
No.
Hearing no further discussion, we'll put the matter to a vote. Andrew,
Aye.
Tricia,
Aye.
and I am aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thanks
Thank
for all.
you,
of our-
Sylvia and Christine.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate your support and we're going to continue to work away.
All
Sorry we
right.
had to keep you waiting so long tonight.
That's
Thanks for
okay. I've
taking-
been,
That's
been interested in the conversation.
great. Thank you
Good
again.
work. Thank you.
Okay, item 7, any other business? Terry, any other business from you?
I have none.
Andrew? Tricia?
No.
Number 8, correspondence. We have 3. We have the Hollamont School Board regarding the request for regional paramedic ambulance service. This has been discussed many times. Before your time on the board, we had discussions with our chief, fire chief from Shelburne, about matters that haven't been resolved, and this was one of them. And Terry
Rick?
did forward this request to both our chief and the Shelburne Falls chief. And I think we're probably waiting for a response from them before anything else should be done, but Tricia,
Sorry.
you-
Yeah, just a second. You said the Hollamont School District. I think you meant the Town of Holly Select
I'm
Board.
sorry. Yeah, brain cramp.
It's
My bad.
late.
Thank you.
It's okay. I just want, yeah, for people listening, they'll be like, why would the school board be asking for that?
I had that from the bottle discussion a few minutes ago in my head. Yes, the town of Holly wants to consider a regional advanced life support paramedic ambulance service for Franklin County. And Terry did send this on to the 2 chiefs, the 2 fire chiefs for the town and the village. And they're looking for an answer by Friday, October 11th.
That's, yeah.
That's something we should,
I
mean-
would need to have input from our local fire chiefs to see what their thoughts were about that.
Well, I
Yeah.
did hear from both Herb Guyette and John Taylor, who've passed it on amongst their separate districts. They would like to still have a meeting with Shelburne and Buckland districts first, because they believe that unless all does Buckland have 2 districts, 2 separate?
Yeah.
Until they get the buy-in for even a local regional, they can't really make a determination on how far-reaching they could go. So I need to try to set up another doodle poll with our local fire districts, town officials, to see if we can get that conversation going. So I don't think I would have an answer for Holly yet.
okay. Then why don't we just have you reply to this letter in advance of October 11th, that we're unable to give them an answer at this point, but we're working on it and they'll hear from us soon, something to that effect.
Okay.
Can we add in there too? There's really not enough financial information in here at all to even make a decision about it. You know, what they're even thinking. They're just saying, oh, it works elsewhere, we should do it. And that's not very much time for us to figure this out. Yeah,
You're doing the right
I
thing.
agree. Yeah.
Super.
Well, there is a regional ambulance service to the south of us that serves the Hampshire hill towns. So there are models like that in place, but I think that took a fair amount of doing to put that together, and a lot of that is grant funded, and you know, it's not a just snap your fingers and make it happen kind of thing.
Yeah,
We've put it in the right people's hands at this point.
yeah.
Okay, the second correspondence is Franklin County Tech School collective bargaining negotiations. As you see in the letter they have sent us, they're asking for someone from the select board to attend the meeting tomorrow at 4:30 in the library conference room at the Franklin County Technical School in Turner's Falls. We heard about this Thursday, so we probably had time last Thursday to think about it. Andrew, I think possibility with your wife being in the school system might not be the one to go, but that's just an observation.
Well, if
Tricia,
it's the Franklin County Tech School, that's a different school system. So I'm not prevented by conflict of interest in that case. I'm more prevented by my full-time job.
okay.
I also want to make it clear that they're looking for one representative amongst all these towns. It's not one from each member town. So if Shelburne can't send a representative, more than likely one of these other towns will.
I can't go because we'll be in Boston for some medical appointments, but I would love to have participated in it otherwise. It's just the Tuesday and Thursday of this week are completely out for me.
So Terry, would this be that if one of us were interested in attending that you would notify someone to say if there's no other towns that do, we'll do it? Or, I mean, I miss that nuance that it's one representative from all the towns.
I called and asked for clarification.
Oh.
And that's how I found out.
Good for you. So I have the Veterans Board at 6 o'clock in Greenfield tomorrow. I'm more than happy to go to that at 4:30 and pick it up at 6 on the way home if none of the other towns have someone. If somebody else from one of the other towns can represent, then I get a little earlier dinner.
All right, I can call Barbara Williams tomorrow to see if she's got other towns confirming their attendance.
Okay. Is that
Thank
good with
you.
everybody?
Yes. Thank
Andrew,
you,
that's okay
Terry.
with you?
You're welcome.
I'm good with that, Rick. Yeah.
The rest is just informational. Two of the finance committee members' appointments were up for reappointment. Todd and Terry Mitchell, Todd Dubriel,
Mhm.
I always butcher that name, I'm afraid, have been reappointed by the town moderator. And I don't know that they've had time to get in and be sworn in with the town clerk, but the process is there, and that's merely informational for us. So they'll have a full functioning appointing board as soon as they get sworn in.
So were all the other folks agreed to stay on this year? So Matt and Jay and who was the, oh, he
Yeah.
lives down the street.
Jim Burnham.
That's right. They're
They're
all,
staggered terms.
okay.
So 2 will be up next year and then Jim Burnham the 3rd year.
Okay. Thank you. That's
You're
great.
welcome.
That takes us to public comment. We have only one person on. Do you have anything you would like to say to the board? Catherine Chadwick, I think it says. And if not,
No, I'm all set tonight, guys. Just really
All right.
interesting conversation. Thank you.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Thanks
Yeah.
for coming.
all right, brings us to adjournment.
Oh,
So-
well, Andrew,
so
do
moved.
it.
All right, I move.
I'll
to
second
adjourn.
it.
Moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Um,
Aye and goodbye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thanks,
good
everybody. Have a good night.